The Honorable Judge Valarie Hill. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you for allowing us to interview today and taking out your time. I know you're very, very busy right now. I really think that I should call you triple threat.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because you have been reelected not one time, not twice, but three times, in 2005, 2009, and 2013. And so that is just amazing, amazing, amazing. Can you kind of take us back to the year 2004 when you made history and became the first woman ever elected to serve as a judge on Milwaukee's municipal court?
Interesting times.
What were you feeling?
Excited, overwhelmed. I felt a lot of responsibility on my shoulders because when you step into the role as the first of anything, there are always certain expectations that you have to meet. So you strive to be the best at what you do. Not that you're not already doing that, but the pressure to do that is much greater.
And so what was just going on in your head when you heard your name and you realized that you actually won? Because you made history. So it wasn't, a lot of times things in life, we do things and we know it's for us and we do it for our family. But what you did, that meant a lot for the community, for the state, just for the world in general, for women who are, pursuing law studies, and then they become a judge, they become a lawyer, then they may be seeking for become a judge. So you made history.
Well, I will tell you that part of the reason I ran for office was because I had been informed that in the court's 30-year history, no woman had ever been elected to this particular position. And it was something that drove me to run for the office. And part of that came because there was a vacancy. I applied for the vacancy. The council had all men except one woman, Marlene Johnson Odom at the time. And the Common Council was who appointed. And so the finalists, there were four of us. Three women and one man. And the majority male council appointed the man. And so for me, that created fire in the belly. I threw my hat in the ring because I thought it was beyond time for there to be some diversity of gender on this bench. I jumped in and I ran. It was a great time to run. Margaret Pratt was running for mayor at the time, so the community was fired up about trying to do some different things with regard to elected officials. And so I was able to ride that wave into office. And the community has rewarded me, as you've noted, 3 times previously, and kept me on the bench.
And that's interesting. You said you were just fired up, and you said I'm putting my hat in. You put your hat in early. I was watching an interview where you talked about how you kind of just always knew what you wanted to do when you were watching a TV show, and you seen an African American woman on the show, and you said that's what I wanted to do. And so then you said at church, they would call you honorable.
Yes.
Yes. So can you take us all the way back?
That's all the way
back.
back.
All the way back, because we want to know how it came about, because we have young women, we have little girls, we have older women who all connect with Lincoln All Women, and we want to know, how did you get to be the honorable judge?
Well, let me tell you that I have to give my sister a little bit of the credit. So I only have one sister, but I was a bookworm growing up, and so before I did anything, I would always make sure I had my homework done, and then I might go get into mischief, but I always made sure I had my homework done. And in doing that, my sister was the exact opposite. And so my sister would do stuff around the house or get in trouble around the house, and I always ended up taking the blame for it. But I never had an alibi. And my sister always had an alibi because she was out with the neighborhood kids or whatever. And so I knew that I needed to be able to figure out how to defend myself. And I do recall watching an African-American female attorney on television and going, I think that's what I want to do. And then I recall going to church because we grew up in the church, so church was a regular part of, what we did. And at Sunday school one day, the Sunday school teacher asked us all what we wanted to be, and I told her I wanted to be a lawyer. And literally from that moment, and that lady's name is Bernice Richardson, from that moment she started calling me Your Honor. And I just thought she was just old crazy Miss Bernice Richardson, because all I knew was I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a trial lawyer. And so I set about my journey at the age of 12, knowing that I was going to be a lawyer. I did not know I was going to be a judge. That, again, didn't come until, well after I was in my career. And I'm sitting down with former Alderman Fred Gordon. And, he mentioned, he's the first person that told me that there had been no woman on this bench, which is the reason why I had put my hat in the ring in the first place. But, yeah, I had no clue that was going to come. And oddly enough, Miss Bernice Richardson, who is still alive and kicking to this day.
Awesome.
Yeah, that young lady there has had, I think, an impact on my life that at the time when she said it, that you didn't know, because what that talks about is the ability to speak something into existence, to put something in somebody's head and the person may not know what you've done, and certainly as a child, I didn't know or appreciate it. As an adult, I can appreciate the positivity that she gave me, the goal that she set for me. She didn't just say be a lawyer. She said go to the next step. So for her, she could see that.
And that was even above what you said. You said, okay, I want to be a lawyer.
Correct.
And she sees something different.
Correct.
So when we talk about those people who inspire us to be live and be greater, which is one of our our mission at Leading All Women, tell us about your influence in your relationship with your mother. I noticed how you talked about in a recent interview back in 2015 about how your mother played a major impact in your life and how she did a lot of volunteering, and so you admired that about her. What impact has your mother had in your life that helps you to be able to navigate through this role and to have that fire to be able to maintain?
First of all, let me tell you, that's a tough question, because I didn't know you were going to ask me about my mother. My mother had a stroke last year, so it's a little bit of a sensitive issue. But let me just tell you this. My mother's work ethic is unbelievable. She raised us in a single-parent household. And my mother, as far back as I can remember, has always worked. She worked up until the day she had her stroke, and she's 76 years old now. Always in some organization. Back in the day, Black Women's Club organizations were huge. And my mother was in everything you could think of, from NAACP to Urban League. Matter of fact, the time she had her stroke, she was the treasurer for the Urban League. She's on the board at Stark County Community Action Agency. She's on the board, at the National Recreation Center, which is, where I'm from, in Ohio. So my mother ran, and again, up until the day she had her stroke, ran a nonprofit organization for primarily foster kids. She was a foster parent for 20-plus years. So just somebody whose spirit was one of giving back. And I always heard my mother say, to whom much is given, much is required. And so she is truly somebody who believes in service and in service to the community.
And I thank you for sharing that, and I know that's a sensitive topic, but I know she had a major impact in your life. And what I admire about you is the story I read where you talked about how, she transitioned as far as the healing from, having that stroke, and how you managed to be able to maintain your role and then drive 8 hours to maintain your role as a daughter. That's honorable. That's very honorable. So I really appreciate you sharing that story and being, just so transparent with us, because we have a lot of people out here who are trying to figure out how do I battle, supporting my family and supporting my mom, my father who deals with an illness, and still do what I need to do to be able to serve. And we notice that, and we can see that she has instilled that into you, and that's what you carry and that's what you live. You have multiple organizations and associations you are involved in. Can you tell us about your connection to the National Women's Judge, and kind of explain to us, in the past, how has it helped you in your role, and presently, how has that helped you in your role?
professionally, I belong to a number of legal organizations. I'm presumably talking about the National Association of Women Judges. Also belong to the Wisconsin Association of African American Lawyers. I was president of that, as well as the National Bar Association, the Wisconsin State Bar Association. And those are all professional organizations, but I will tell you, the organizations that have helped me the most are, believe it or not, women's organizations. And they start with Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I'm a 26-year member of that organization. That organization, by the way, part of the reason I belong to that organization is because the guidance counselor I had in junior high school was a member of that organization. And when we were in junior high school, we had to take these tests. And the test would determine where you should go, what track you should take when you got in high school. And so I took the test, and, some of the tests related to, what you could do with dexterity in your hand. And so I was very good with my hands. I'd take blocks out and put them back in, very quick with that. And I was told that I should be an assembly line worker. And the guidance counselor and the bid said to me, you don't have to be an assembly line worker if you don't want to be. You can be anything you want to be. And that lady was an AKA. And so she's still alive.
And did she attend the Ohio State?
She did not.
Okay.
She did not attend the Ohio State University, but she was the first person I saw in that organization that I said, you know what, this is a class act. And those women have been truly supportive. When my mother had her stroke, I was the international president of that organization, Dorothy Buchanan Wilson, who immediately came to my aid to try to get me to Ohio because I was in Chicago. It was those women who took care of my teachers, who took care of my house, who made sure that I was taken care of. One of those women traveled to Ohio with me. So it's an amazing organization. I also belong to the Links Incorporated, also an amazing group of women who've been very supportive. So the amount of support that women offer each other, I know that in this day and age when you watch television, you don't see that. And, television, particularly reality TV, is designed to pit women against each other, but that's not the life I know. Those aren't the women I know.
Thank you for that. Can you, and you shared a little bit about it, but can you give us a personal sacrifice that you had to make while serving in public office?
Privacy. When you are particularly a Milwaukee Municipal Court judge, because every judge who serves here lives in the city. So unlike circuit court judges, and no shade to them, but unlike circuit court judges, most of them don't live in the vicinity or the area where they have the most impact. So you may serve for Milwaukee County, but you live in Franklin. Meanwhile, the majority of people that you affect every day are in this city. So because we are in this city and we live in this city and we shop and eat and we do whatever else we do in this city, you run into everybody and people know you. And so it's hard to have, a bad hair day in public. So there are some things that you give up with this job, and privacy, I would say, is probably the biggest one. The second one would be your ability to be politically active as you might want to be, because it is truly in my spirit to be more active politically than I'm able to be because of restrictions of the job.
And so we talked about your connections, and we talked about your sacrifices. You have over 25 years of legal experience, and let's go back to when you were before you became a judge. There were like 15 cases. 15
my public
cases.
defender days.
Yes, 15 cases. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's still an office record, but it was at one point in time for a long period of time.
Yes.
An office record at the State Public Defender's Office. I won 15 consecutive trials. And yeah, I lost my first trial on my last day of work there.
Wow.
Yeah. But you gotta lose at some point.
Right. You do. Yeah, but overall, you're a winner. You're a winner. You are a fighter. And one thing I read in how you quoted in a recent article in the Journal Times, how you said that I'm known as being direct and straightforward. Tell us about that, because being direct and straightforward, sometimes people take that in a certain way, but it has certain benefits to it, and you're able to navigate through your profession and be able to get things done and to be able to win consecutively 15 times.
Well, part of how I was able to win those 15 trials was my ability to have conversations with my client and witnesses that were just straightforward. I never just tell people the stuff they want to hear. I have to tell you the truth. The truth is what makes all the difference. And sometimes the truth is hard to hear. And so, yes, I am direct. I am straightforward. And I am known for that. And that's who I've been my entire life. So I've never been anyone where you're not clear about what I mean. And I actually mean what I say. Which makes me, by the way, a great person to date. The guys don't have to figure out what does she mean by that.
So you're going to tell them.
I'm going to tell them.
You're going to tell them.
But, yeah, so it's just who I am. It's who I've always been. And at my age, I'm too old to change that. So it served me well. And I understand there may be people who may not take that in the right direction or understand completely, why I'm so honest with them. Because, we live in a society where people sugarcoat stuff and, people walk out of places not quite sure what either happened or didn't happen, and I don't want that to happen with people. So I know that people should know that I am going to tell you the truth. I'm going to be straightforward with you. But you should also know that it came from a place of love, that I'm concerned about this community. I don't need to know you to care about you. And so when you come in my courtroom, and you get the straight skinning, it was done in the manner it was done, and it was done with love.